among many problems.
Looks like
Hello,
we're live,
Mikey.
Vinnie.
Mike, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Vinnie. I'm dry, but I'm tired of the weather. Let me tell you, LA has had between 8.5 and 13 inches of rain the last 2 days, depending on where you live, depending on how you're doing, depending on how it came down, depending on what the rain wanted to do in your neighborhood. But today, because we've had too much rain all at once, guess what we're having today?
More rain?
More rain. 65% chance of rain in Pasadena coming down just about, well, it looks like the sun was out this morning, but it's gone now. Been replaced by the clouds that hold the rain that we need so desperately. Now, California needs rain.
Yeah.
In fact, you can't name a state that doesn't need rain. Nevada probably needs it if it doesn't get it. I don't know about, I can't speak for the other states. I can't speak for Utah, the beehive state.
Well,
Since
Mike, the
you're the
problem
delegate from Utah, our
you
friendly beehive state,
when
how
Utah
can
gets rain, they only
we,
screw it up. They pollute it. For people that don't know, Utah is one of the most polluted states in this country. There's more. They have a lake in Utah that you can't even. It's in the middle of not the Great Salt Lake, but another lake that's like in the middle of Salt Lake City, and you can't. And there's fences around. You can't even stick your toes in there.
so they took a page out of the Cleveland book. Are they waiting for their lake to catch on fire before they do anything about it?
I believe that the lake has in the past caught on fire.
And is it
So
called Fire Lake?
it should be if it's not. Excuse me. It should be. It should be called Fire Lake, but unfortunately, they don't. They did not call it that. But I would, if I were running things, at least call it Lake Blazing or something like that.
Well, for the folks in Utah who don't have enough rain today, or they have polluted rain, or they have a polluted lake and need the rain to dilute it, I'll just tell them that don't do it like we did it and have it all come at once. The atmospheric river, for once, was a real thing. Storms in California traditionally rain in Northern California, get as far south as Santa Barbara, they get to Point Concepcion and they just die. They dump everything on Big Sur, and that makes the Highway 1 slide. That part we've got down. But getting the rain to actually go to Los Angeles and rain there is a difficult proposition. This time it made it. It really made it all at once. Topanga Canyon had over 13 inches, and you don't want to be in Topanga Canyon with 13 inches of rain coming down over 2 days.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't when you get that much rain, 8 to 13 inches, and I'm not a weather guy, nor do I play one on television. Um, doesn't the Earth start to move? Doesn't the landslide start to really happen at that point?
It can, depending on the soakability of the area. Landslides are a factor, especially following a fire. What they call
Yeah, but you don't
hyper,
have vegetation, obviously. To
what do they call it? Hyper something. Hyper Fiero. Anyway, yes,
it's
we've
something that
had some
doesn't sound
landslides.
good, whatever they're calling it, right?
We've had a lot of runoff. We've had a lot of high water. We've had a lot of intersections flooding, and we've had even at the beaches incredible amounts of crap coming down the LA River that washes up on the beach. The amount of chairs, furniture, branches, bushes, poison oak, and anything else you can name is littering the beach, especially in Ventura County. So we've had our rinse, we've had our rinse cycle, and we've had enough. I might actually today shave, shower, and go out and get food. Not for me, we've got the food, but the cats are making a series of demands. Is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, they are demanding, aren't they?
They want certain things added to their diet, and they want less of Mike Johnson. If we could just watch television without having any Mike Johnson on it, that would be fine with the cats. And that's the beginning of their demands. I don't want to read the rest of them.
Well, those are smart cats because that's turned into a hairy mess in Washington D.C. Boy, if the Republicans could have scripted it to come out worse, I don't think they could have. I think that they're
Isn't it fascinating, Vinny, that the Speaker of the House doesn't know how many people he's got working for him or who's going to vote which way? They don't actually figure out the vote before they call it to the floor. Nancy Pelosi could tell them how to do that. You figure out how many votes you've got, and that tells you whether you're going to vote on it that day. If you don't have the votes, don't call the vote.
Right. Well, Nancy Pelosi could smell what was going to happen from 3 blocks away before she ever got to the building. I mean, if the Republicans wanted to get anything done, they'd just go to Nancy Pelosi with a nice package and say, "Could you come back for, a year? Could you come and help us out?"
Could you help us out, because we don't know how to do what you used to do. How did
Because
you do it?
We're going to go through probably our third Speaker of the House in less than about a year, right? Because I don't see it that Johnson is going to survive this.
He could get somebody who's better off than Mav.
Just
somebody.
Anybody. You could bring in. All those people that sit behind him. Wouldn't you think out of all of those people? Remember, he sits there and he's got there's always some 20-somethings sitting behind, maybe some 30-somethings. One usually big fat guy.
And they nod.
And they nod, and they look at their phones, and they text, and they pass papers to each other. You don't think he could take one of those people out and put my friend Laurie is a 4th grade math teacher in Denver. She would probably be happy to take a week off with pay, take a week off and go to Washington and sit there and just do the numbers. I mean, she's a smart woman. She is attractive, so she would look good at the cameras. She's a 4th grade teacher, so she knows what she's talking about when it comes to ciphering.
There you go, Jethro.
Yeah, when it comes to ciphering, she knows. So why wouldn't you just get her or somebody like her to sit there and say to you, it doesn't look like you have enough people here because you got 1, 2, 3.
She's a numbers person now. You see where she is right now in Denver. She's a numbers person. She knows that numbers don't lie. They always are accurate. They're always perfect. Numbers are your friend. But a week or two with the Republicans working for them in Washington, D.C., she might lose her grip on reality just as they have. And so when they say, "Do we have the votes?" she'd say, "I don't know how to determine that. Count the votes. I'll get as close as I can, but I can't be accurate. Within 5, I think, is the best I can do."
Yeah, and I don't.
That's how they get. That's how they get into this trouble.
Yeah, she's a no nonsense.
She'd never forgive you for sending her there to count with the Republicans.
Yeah, I see your point. I think you're 100% right, pal. I think that
because 2 and 2 make 4 for me, the way I like it. But Donald Trump likes it differently. And what Trump likes and what Trump wants is what counts. And so 2 and 2 cannot make 4 if that's the way Donald Trump's going to proceed. And you know that he wants it his way.
Do you think that if you gave him a flash test and slipped that question in the middle of it somewhere, 2 and 2, how long it would take him to get to 4?
It depends if he wants it to be 4. What if he somehow had a dream last night that 2 and 2 make 5, but we've been wrong all along, and that's what's wrong with our space program. 2 and 2 always make 4. Well, what if it makes 5 sometimes? Like when I'm in charge, when I'm in the presidency, when I sit in the White House, when I'm in the Oval Office, when I'm in my desk, when I answer the phone, 2 and 2 make what? What does it make? And he calls Mike Johnson, and Mike Johnson tells him it's 5, and he's happy again.
Yeah, we're in a world of crappiness. But listen, I think it's good because what it does, and we're talking now about the issue of the immigration bill more than the Mayorkas debacle.
Which is sort of the same thing, but different.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but very different. What it does, though, is it gives Biden, if he can remember it, something to go out and campaign on. I sent the bill up. I agreed to a bill. We did a deal. And you idiots didn't want to do it because you're a supreme leader, the orange cheeses, President Slapdick. said, no, I can campaign on this. And while it's not going to influence the MAGA people, because it's a cult, you're not going to influence them. You couldn't, hot coals and poking irons couldn't influence them. But
poking irons. Now that's serious. I don't want any poking irons.
yeah, you could influence them with that. But that 20% of the people that are out there that still have some brain matter left, that actually
is it 20%, do you think?
I'm giving America a lot of credit right now. I'm giving America a lot of credit. I'm saying that 20% of this country still has enough brain matter left to look at something and not succumb to dogma or different kind of Me Tooism or themism or whatever kind of ism you can come along with. Well, they did it, so we should be. Maybe 20% still have that left. And if the 20% that have that left look at that and look at it reasonably or somewhat reasonably, they're going to see that this crisis, while maybe not created by Donald Trump, although you can go back and show places where it has been. It's been long before Donald Trump, though, is not going to go away, is still existing, is now 6 or 8 or 10 months behind because Donald Trump wanted it as a campaign issue.
In 2 weeks, he's going to have a medical plan for you to review.
Yeah, I'm going to, Trump care. I know, I'm waiting for that.
Yeah, you should wait for that. That's good. The reality of this, Vinnie, then brings to mind something that's rather worth a thought. Is this really an issue for the Republicans? Do they even give a damn about the border? Do they really care, or is it just an issue that they want to keep alive? Is it something they want to solve, like curing cancer, or is this something they just want to last forever so they can talk about it? If Donald Trump were to win the presidency, God forfend, would he settle the border issue, or would he keep it alive and blame it on the Democrats? Just blame it on them with no facts to support it. Just say, I'm not in charge anymore. The Democrats have the votes. Democrats are the ones who worry about the border. I've always said the border was fine. I've always said it was wonderful. Let the people in. It's the Democrats who want to bring in the fentanyl, the criminals, the rapists and the degenerates, the CEOs and the cartel generals.
Why are you talking about the Republicans?
I shouldn't, but
you just described the Republican Party. I mean, let's face it. And the sad thing is, none of the descriptions that none of the adjectives that you just used to describe a person would be inapplicable to the Republican Party because they have a little bit of everybody.
And they need what's the word I'm looking for? They need medical attention. They've gone to the point where they don't make any sense anymore, even to themselves. They're willing, with no shame, to change directions overnight, just as they have with this the border bill. The border bill's ready for you to sign. That's a lousy bill. We're not doing that. We said we didn't want a border bill. We said we weren't going to deal with it. Why would you bring us a border bill? We're not voting on that. It's never going to die. It's going to die in the House, just like I told you. The border's fine. Donald Trump said, leave it alone. Leave it just the way it is.
Meanwhile, Nikki Haley loses the Nevada primary to none of the above.
None of these, what's the phrase? None of these candidates?
None of the above. Yeah, none of the above.
Because they were told to vote for that. That's what they did. Waste your vote, squander your vote, vote this way, vote for none of the above. And that's what they did.
The Republicans are, I'd like to say that they're shooting themselves in the foot, but I don't know if you gave them a gun and bullets that they'd quite know how to make it work.
They might not get the foot. You're right to worry about that, Vinny. God knows what they would do if they could load a gun.
Well, they squander every chance that they get to rid themselves of this scab, this wound that's on the Republican Party. And I don't think that any of them see that they're not going to be a legitimate party
ever again.
Well, at least until they get rid of Donald Trump, and then they put some cushion, some time between the time Donald Trump ran the party and when they can seriously be considered to represent a large portion of Americans. I mean, because anybody who has any sense has abandoned them. Anybody who has any sense has said, "Wait a second, we don't want the Donald Trumps. We don't want the this MAGA section of people, this radical thing that has grown out of the Tea Party." I mean, he didn't even come up with the MAGA idea on his own. I mean, that came out of the Tea Party. But it'll be years.
Actually, it came out of pre-war Germany, where the phrase was "Make Germany Great Again."
Well, Mikey, I've done a lot of reading and a lot of researching on pre-war Germany and what made it so susceptible to a little runt guy who basically told the Germans and the world around them that the only way to make this area great again, to make the world great again, is to not have people that look like me around.
Can't have any of that.
And he was pretty good at selling it.
Sell the big lie.
Yeah, I mean, but these people were so desperate for something to grab onto, and they had been told time and time again by their minister of propaganda that you have to hate this certain group of people.
And that'll cure everything.
That they bought it.
They bought it.
And they bought it big time. Nobody ever stopped to say, well, wait a second, the guy running this thing isn't an Aryan. He's like a little Bohemian dude.
He's an Austrian dude.
Probably has some Jewish in his background. They didn't stop to look at that. They didn't stop to think, well, this guy is on more drugs every day than most of us have ever taken in our lives.
And I want to emphasize he never shared his drugs, which is a bad sign.
Never. Except, well, no, I shouldn't say that because he did share them with his troops. He found it to be very important that the troops that were fighting for him stay awake 24 or 48 hours at a clip. So he was more than happy.
Franz to say to Hans. Franz said to Siegfried, "Isn't this war going awfully fast? Isn't it going faster than it was yesterday? I mean, it's a fast world we live in." But I've got a whiff about me that's really strange.
Anyway,
you know what's gonna save us, and no one wants to go to law school who can't graduate from law school. But the people that did go to law school are going to save us. The only thing that works in this country, because the legislature doesn't work, and sometimes the presidency doesn't work, and sometimes the populace doesn't work, but the rule of law still exists on paper. And as we found out with the 3-panel judges of the appellate court, they're educated, smart people who know that you can't have a president who claims to have complete immunity for all crimes, past, future, and the ones he's thinking about committing today.
Well,
that is not what the laws of the nation say. And tomorrow I'm afraid Donald Trump's going to listen in as the Supreme Court is broadcast live, audio only, and we'll hear the same arguments fail in front of those justices. They may not even review the the 3-court panel finding of earlier this week.
Well, I agree with you, but you increasingly have a group of people who are disregarding of the law.
Do they wear little red hats?
Yeah, that they say that the law, just like their leader tried to get somebody to say, a judge to say that the law doesn't apply to us, that I have complete immunity, that I can kill somebody on Fifth Avenue and not get arrested for it. He tried to make that reality. And smarter legal heads prevailed. But when you do that, I think that you incite this group of people who don't care about the law.
That's
who
why
have no
Bum Phillips
regard for the law.
Bum Phillips famously said from the sideline, "You can't do that. Now you just can't do that. If you do, you're going to have more trouble over it than a little bit." And that applies to the problem that we're facing today. Bum, thank you.
I just think that that you have people that a large group of people in this country that just thinks that the law doesn't apply to them, just as elections don't apply to them because everything is rigged against them.
The funny thing, Vinnie, and I encountered this in Eastern Washington when I lived there, they stand in stark opposition to reality. The real facts of the world confound them, confuse them, and vex them to the point where they will not deal with them. They make up their own alternate view of the world, their own alternate facts, their own alternate conspiracy theories, and they cling to them daily and talk about them among themselves. And it gives them comfort and it gives them a direction in life. As wrongheaded and as misguided as they are, they feel better for it for some reason because reality is so harsh and the truth about Donald Trump is so ugly and so dark, they cannot face it. They have to have their own reality to live in.
Yeah, I agree. There has to, it's.
That's why I drink coffee, because coffee's good.
Well, it almost harkens back to when you were a kid. And I don't know if your dad did this, but my dad was one of those people. He says, "Well, when you live in, I don't care what X, Y, or Z is. When you live in my house, you go by my rules.
You go by a separate reality.
You go by and when you're a little kid, you eventually step out into the world and you realize that it doesn't exactly work like that."
My dad's rules don't work much
never
further
drop
than the
that
stoop.
behind them. Some people continue to believe, you're on my land, so it's my rules. You're in my house, so it's my rules. When in reality, it doesn't work like that.
That's called a faulty self-image.
The rule of people.
Yes.
And if you've ever got smacked in the back of the head, you know what I mean. You have a choice. You either obey the rules or get a job, get out of the house. And eventually you get out of the house, right?
Did you find that the rules were always steady and reliable? They never changed, wavered, or mutated to suit your father or anybody making up the rules? Vinnie? Can't hear you.
How about now?
Yeah, you're on.
There you go. This is this setup that I have here. I'm really I've never met a Shure microphone that I dislike more than this one.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I was so moved by it that I actually went on Amazon yesterday and wrote a blistering review of this MV7 microphone because it's truly
supposed to be a good mic.
Right, supposed to be a good mic, but if you buy the one, and I was stupid enough to do this, buy the one with the USB port in the back of it,
Uh-oh.
You find quickly that a USB port is not really a good thing for this end, the business end of the microphone. And so I have endured in the year that I have this microphone a blistering assortment of maladies with this microphone, of things that go wrong with it, or just when I think that nothing else can go wrong with a microphone, it does. And unfortunately, it's past the window of being able to send it back. I mean, I went as far as buying an XLR cable for the back of it,
Right.
and it doesn't work with the XLR cable. You also have to buy $100 preamp to put in a line between the cable. So it's the only thing that I like about the microphone is that when it does work, it gives my voice a better sound.
It's a good sounding. It's a good sounding mic, and it's used in recording, but not with the USB port.
Well, right, I bought the $50 cheaper microphone when I should have bought the better microphone, but and as I said, I missed the window for some reason of returning it, so I'm stuck with this thing, and it's when it works good, but when it decides to have an attitude, it doesn't work good. And I hope that somebody at Shure hears this and says, you know what, we got to get this guy the right microphone. I will tell you that it's a mistake of mine to buy electronic components from Amazon. There are several good electronic houses that are out there that specialize in this kind of stuff, and probably would have never let me buy this kind of microphone.
Sweetwater is one of them, but they're a little expensive.
Well, yeah, and there's also B&H in New York, and there's I forget.
B&H is very good.
There's another place out here on the West Coast that I bought a headset from several years ago, and the headset has been in great shape, great condition. Every time I've used it, it's worked perfectly. It's a Sennheiser Sportscaster's headset, and
that's what I'm using right now, a Sennheiser 421U5, which is this microphone.
And those mics are good. And I have another Sennheiser shotgun mic that I guess I could plug in and use. But anyway, enough about my microphone woes. I can't remember the name of there's a local place that's here in Tacoma. Our good friend, well, I don't know if you knew John Lynch. John Lynch works there, and I don't know. It's frustrating. My microphone situation is frustrating. But be that as it may, let's talk a little bit about the Super Bowls because we haven't really talked about that. And I know that we couldn't be there this week, Michael, but I took this as an omen when I was in the Goodwill store.
Vegas, baby.
My daughter, we went Goodwill hunting and found a Vegas cup and said, that's an omen.
So remember when they used to worry about the players drinking the night before the game, partying Super Bowl style? We really don't hear stories about that anymore. I think the players have come to realize that they can drink after the game if they're really excited. But when the Raiders would go to the Super Bowl, there was always the mystique of what shape are they going to be in when they get to game time? Because there was no guarantee that they were going to behave themselves and be NFL players. They were going to be Raiders first. They were going to do. Oh, by the way, the mayor of Las Vegas has told the Oakland A's that the best deal for them is to stay in Oakland. They should forget everything they heard about Vegas, forget all their plans, forget the $1.5 billion stadium that they hope somebody builds for them, and make a deal that'll keep them in Oakland, because quite frankly, Vegas doesn't look good on her balance sheet. Vegas is not going to help with the cost of the stadium. Vegas is not going to help with the purchase of the land. Vegas says, you know what? You're an Oakland team. You should stay.
Well, what a debacle that's turned into, huh?
Yeah.
I think it's amazing to me that Vegas that Oakland would have put it out there before they
We're
had
going.
anything
We're going.
signed.
Don't. We got nothing signed, but we think we're going. Where are you going? Well, we think Vegas. What about Sacramento? Well, we think Sacramento. What about Oakland? It's a possibility. Where are you going to play next year? Right now, we have no plans.
And that doesn't go well. You know what group of people don't like that, Michael? There's a
Current
group of
Oakland
people
A's
called the
fans.
traveling secretaries. And their job at this time of year is to sit at a desk and make travel arrangements for their team. They have to find hotels, they have to find transportation, they have to find all of the things that move a team to the ballpark from either the city that they play in or the city that they're coming from. And
So we're going to Milwaukee, but where are you coming from? We don't know where we're coming from.
Right. And having known a number of traveling secretaries over my lifetime, the one I probably know the best is Ron Spellacy, who did the job for the Mariners for several years. A great guy, a former Coug. He came out of the hospitality industry. He didn't come out of baseball. And he knew how to get
A
people
good
to
price
where
at the
they,
hotel.
he knew how to work the logistics of getting 25 players, 5 or 10 coaches, the wives, everything that's attended the equipment, because you got to have the equipment to play.
You got to have all your stuff.
You got to have your gloves. You got to have, and baseball players are maybe the most lame at making travel arrangements. If you go back and you look at baseball players and, the traveling secretary and his or her assistant always make the arrangements for the players from spring training on. And I've seen baseball players who did not know how to pick up a phone and make a reservation
Oh, yes, I'm sure of that.
to get out of whatever city that the team wound up in at the end of the season.
Hi, I'm with the Oakland A's. We're all going to Milwaukee. Where are you? Well, does it make a difference? Well, give me some idea where you are. Well,
And
I can't be precise.
and I can only believe, and I'm not that close to it as I used to be, but for a while I was very close to it. And I can only believe that there has to be 29, well, 30, because the traveling secretary on the A's probably. Now, I don't know if it's still Mickey Morabito, who did it for years and years and years with the A's. I don't know if he still does that. But my good God, you're sitting here now. Your work is supposed to be pretty much done by now. You had the schedule 6 months already. It came out in August, right? You have the schedule 6 months. You pretty much stay at the same places whenever you go out on the road. You use the same bus companies. You use the same trucking companies. It should be a pretty well locked in deal, right? You should have all your stuff set. The only thing you have to fill in is the names of the people who are going to be going with you. And you probably got 15 of those already. What you should be working on right now is your spring training and just making sure that anybody who's coming now is taken care of, gets picked up at the airport, yada, yada, yada. I can't imagine that this group of people are very happy with the Oakland A's right now, because they don't know where their team is going to be going, not just this upcoming season, because they know they'll be going to Oakland. But the years beyond, because these guys work a couple of years in advance.
So every other team in the America, every other team in,
Vegas.
Every other team in the American League has no idea where they're going to play. We're playing the A's, but where we're playing, we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, well, we going to Sacramento, we going to Las Vegas, or we going to San Antonio. I mean, name another city that's thirsting for a baseball team. And that's the other thing, is there's not that many cities that are thirsting for a baseball team anymore.
Portland, maybe.
Portland, although I don't see that happening.
No, I don't.
I believe that the Mariners own the territorial rights to Portland. And they would have to be insane to just let another team move in there. I mean, that's their backyard. People in Portland root for the Mariners. There's some people that root for the Giants, because before the Mariners, the Giants, I believe, had that area.
Yeah, they're AAA in Tacoma.
So it just seems to be a franchise. Now, maybe they'll get a deal done with Vegas. I don't think they're going to get a deal done with Oakland. I just don't see Oakland laying out any money for any kind of baseball or sports-related thing right now. Now, maybe Oakland could go to them and say, well, knock down Mount Davis. We'll take that monstrosity down and open up the ballpark and let it be what it used to be. It wasn't a bad ballpark before they put that monstrosity up there.
But that's going to cost you as much as building a new stadium to renovate what you have. Yeah, especially because in terms of its amenities, it's like a turn of the century facility.
Well, and a lot of this stuff you can add on to it. I mean, clubs and boxes and things like that. There's things that you can do. But the reality is, the other problem that you have is that people don't want to go to Oakland. People do not want to come in from Walnut Creek or from, name any one of those towns along 680, Alamo, and
Dublin.
All the different towns out there. They don't want to come into Oakland. They're afraid of coming into Oakland, and rightly so. Do you want to drive on the streets of Oakland at 11 o'clock at night?
Day games.
Yeah, well, that doesn't help your bottom line all that much. We saw that with the Giants. I'm just not sure. And, the other thing is, Michael, is Oakland has so many problems. I think keeping a baseball team is pretty far down on their roster. So,
well, San Francisco kept its team with private money. The Oakland A's are going to have to do the same, and they are a bad investment.
And I don't think that the people that own that team are going to come up with the private money to do it. I don't think that anybody would be motivated to spend that kind of money on keeping the team in Oakland. Now, you know what the perfect answer is. And we all know what the perfect answer is. But unfortunately, the Giants will not let that happen.
And that includes Sacramento too?
Excuse me?
That includes Sacramento as well? Because that's a AAA area.
No. I don't think Sacramento's the answer, though, Michael. I don't know that the population base is up there. Now, maybe you'd get some of those people from that 680 corridor to go up to Sacramento.
That's a long drive.
I don't know if Sacramento was going to lay out that kind of money to build a ballpark. I mean, they have a smaller minor league park that might be attractive for a year or 2 years if they were going to go up there.
It's being used by the Giants AAA team, the River Rats, the River Dogs.
Right. Well, we've seen that. We've seen that action before. You know, they'll be playing in Visalia before it's all over. I'm just
It's an ugly mess.
it's a mess. And
It turns out that running your baseball team like you run your company is not a good idea.
well, I guess, Michael, that we're seeing, except for New York and Los Angeles, there aren't many markets that would support two teams. And that's something that baseball has to deal with, because in a sport where many cities once had two teams, you're now coming to a place where there's only going to be two cities that have two teams. There's nowhere for them to
So
go in California,
Chicago,
I think, except for one place, and that's San Jose.
not going to
San
happen.
Jose would immediately solve the problem, because I think San Jose would build a ballpark down there. There's enough money down there to do it privately. I don't even think the city would have to give them a piece of land somewhere downtown. But I think, to me, that's one of the only solutions if you want to keep the A's in the area. The A's would stay in the area. They'd have a whole new, more revitalized fan base in a new ballpark. But the Giants would have to give up their right to San Jose, which they acquired back in the Bob Lurie days.
And I don't think you're going to count on that. Funny thing is, you'd think that somebody in Vegas would say, yeah, come on. We're excited about having a baseball team, just not you.
Well, I don't know that baseball makes sense for Vegas, to be honest with you. I don't know. As I look at it, I just don't know that Vegas and baseball on a major league level is a good match.
Well,
Baseball
hockey turned out to be a good match, which that didn't look good on paper to me.
Which one?
Hockey, the Golden Knights.
Yeah, it's different. It's a winter sport. You go inside in cold weather, and it gets cold in Vegas, as we know. Um, and there's enough people. You're only talking about 15, 20,000 people. If you want to have a successful baseball team, you need to bring in 40,000 a game over 81 games. What are you going to do? You want to have an open air ballpark. What are you going to do when it's 118 degrees in Vegas?
118 degrees, and it feels like you're driving behind a diesel bus.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. That's number one. Number two, Vegas is a very transient town. For the most part, the people that live there are all from somewhere else.
What happened to Omar? Omar's not here anymore.
There's a core of people that live there, and there's more people now that live there because people that moved there in the 90s and the 2000s have kids that are now in the high teens and 20s and 30s, but a lot of those kids don't want to work in the gaming industry, and they get out of town.
Does Don Rickles still manage the Tangiers?
He may. I haven't seen Don lately. He don't come around here no more.
You don't see Don no more.
You don't see Don no more. So, I mean, I think, I don't know. I think Vegas and the A's would be a good thing for a couple of years.
Till the novelty wears off.
Because everybody in Vegas, as we know, everybody loves a winner. Yeah. So I don't forget that that's part of the whole Golden Knights mystique, is they won
their
in
first
their
year.
First year.
Yep.
And I think in a place like Vegas, that's what you have to do. You have to win. People don't want to be associated with losers in Vegas, because a loser in Vegas means much more than just losing a game.
What if you have a commitment to excellence and you still lose?
You could you could I don't know. I think
You can
that,
take
well,
your
again,
commitment over to the.
football's a different story, because football has mastered the art of making it not just a football game, but an entertainment destination.
The spectacle.
And there's only 8 of them, or 9. So you don't have, so you have, in essence, 8 special events in the fall. And Vegas loves special events. Most successful city for Cirque du Soleil is Vegas.
That's for sure.
The most, you look at rock stars or different stars that go down there and do residencies, and they prosper because they
Now they've
turn
got
them
the
into
orb, and they got the orb now.
Yeah.
For live
So
events.
I think the Raiders, now if the Raiders go through, and the other thing with the Raiders, Michael, is this, it's an interesting franchise in that I don't know this for sure. I would love to see the data on it, and I'm sure it exists somewhere. But I would have to think that fully half of the people that go to a Raiders game on any given game are either 50% coming from Los Angeles and making that drive over. And once they put the rail service in, we'll take the ride over. And 25% people that root for the other team.
You're not off, Vinnie. You're not off.
You saw it here when the Steelers came to town here. The place was half full with Steeler fans. Because the Steeler fans, and there's a few other teams like that, travel
their
with
tickets
their team.
long in advance. Yep.
I mean, you don't go to Pittsburgh and see half the stands full of Jet fans when the Jets come to town.
That's not the way it works in Pittsburgh.
It's not the way it works in Pittsburgh. People don't sell their tickets to fans from other cities. A Pittsburgh fan would rather give their tickets to another Pittsburgh fan than to sell them to some Jets fan for, $500 or whatever it is, for the most part. There's exceptions, of course. So,
in fact, you can see the same thing here when the 49ers play the Rams at their new stadium. Half the stadium is full of 49er fans.
Yeah.
Each and every game.
Yeah, because if you can't get into the 49ers stadium because it's sold out, it's not a hard trip to jump into your car and head down to Los Angeles to watch a game.
Grab your ride and you hit the road.
Grab your car, you hit the road, sleep in the rest area on the way back, and you're back home by Sunday night.
And enjoy the grapevine, although it may be snowing up on top.
If you get stuck, I've been stuck on the grapevine. I had a great time on the grapevine. People were sharing coffee and sandwiches. Cops were there hanging out, talking to people. I was driving a Suzuki 4-wheel drive little Suzuki Jeep. And I bought it in LA and was driving it up to San Francisco and got stuck in the snow. I should have known when it was raining in Los Angeles that I would be in for some trouble when I got to the grapevine. But who knew?
Rain in Los Angeles has become something that you don't sneeze at. Rain in Los Angeles has turned out to be a serious affair.
I had a 4-wheel drive. I figured I could just go through the snow, but the cops don't let you.
You can go through some snow. You just can't go through that snow.
Yeah, that snow is a snow of a different thickness, of a different consistency. So anyway, so I don't know what the A's are going to do. I do know that they're going to have a Super Bowl down there, and I know that it's going to be interesting to see if Pat Mahomes' father shows up.
Is he
because
on the outs?
Oh no, he got busted for DUI. He's a former major league pitcher, former Met, former Mariner.
Sounds like a baseball player drinking and driving.
Well, it's his. It's I think his 6th or 7th violation.
Well, he's turning it into a cottage industry.
So, well, yeah, I'm sure his lawyer helps him out. I feel sorry for the kid because, I mean, the last thing you want to do is ask Eugene Robinson's family. You just don't need that kind of action around the Super Bowl or around a big event like that. Then on top of it, you have every idiot reporter running around asking every football player 10 times, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song? Or album? Or line? Or whatever. So now you got Brock Purdy having to sit there and talk about what his favorite Taylor Swift song is. This guy probably never heard of Taylor Swift.
He gets kind of stuck on God is great sometimes.
Yeah, so you have that ridiculousness going on about it. They had a big, and then they had a big event. I guess it was Monday night, where they combined Media Day and they let fans come in and watch Media Day.
No, bad idea. That ain't gonna work. Thank you, Roger Goodell. There was an idea that you just could have forgotten about.
I think it's ridiculous. I think when you man alive, what a joke. We used to think it was a joke when you'd have one reporter. We would go to Media Day, and there would be one reporter there that was a lifestyle reporter from some news station, Vladivostok or Spolpakia or something like that. And they would ask, the one stupid question, and they would get it out of the way. And then go back to talking football.
From the afternoon magazine there in Vegas.
Yeah. Now you have to look for the person who's going to ask the football question so that they can go back to talking about whatever it is, whatever lifestyle subject. This year is Taylor Swift.
Well, I want to know why Brock Purdy's girlfriend doesn't have a record deal.
I'm sure after this she'll get one. I would fully see her getting a record deal. I mean, I don't even know if he has a girlfriend, does he? We don't know.
He can borrow Kittle's girlfriend.
Players and what their families are like, because every space that you can find is filled up with Taylor Swift stuff.
I think that bodes well for the Niners. They're going to feel left behind. I remember that's why we haven't told about our. You want to pick scores today, or you want to wait till Friday?
Friday. No, Friday. Why would we pick today? Okay. Who knows what could happen between now and then?
Please don't say that. Please don't say that.
They're in Vegas.
Remember, you're not a Lions fan. You're not a Lions fan anymore. You're back with the Niner camp. So careful with what you say.
Yeah, I told you that the Lions thing was just a temporary. It was a one-day thing.
It was conditional.
I just appreciated and would have liked to see. Listen, the 49ers have been there for how many times this would be their 6th victory if they got it, right? Their 6th ring.
And there's
but I think they've been in 8, right?
7 or 8,
so,
yeah, you're right.
I'll tell you who's not rooting for the 49ers is the city of Pittsburgh. because the Pittsburgh holds the record.
Oh, right. Well, they've earned it. They can be touchy about that.
Super Bowl rings, and they don't want. And there's two teams that have been biting at their heels: the 49ers and the Patriots. Kansas City is probably coming up on them, but it's still far enough away. So people in Pittsburgh will root against anybody who has the possibility of approaching the Super Bowl ring record.
Well, Pittsburgh fans, my suggestion is forget about the 49ers, worry about your own team. The best way to get revenge on the 49ers right now is to go to the Super Bowl yourself. And the last time you went to the Super Bowl, Vinnie and I were there, and you lost to the Dallas Cowboys rather resoundingly.
Oh,
so
no,
don't
they did
worry
the Super Bowl.
Don't worry about the 49ers. Worry about your own chances.
Well, yeah, but that's not the way Pittsburgh works. Pittsburgh worries about everybody else. Pittsburgh was happy to see Baltimore get smoked because Baltimore is such a big rival of the Steelers. Fans take football in Pittsburgh more seriously than any team I've ever seen before. Any group of fans take a team. Maybe the only thing that eclipses them a little bit is Yankee fans.
Is that a baseball team?
Yeah. But for the most part, Steeler fans are Steeler fans during the season, after the season, before the season. It's not comparable. There's nothing, I've never seen anything in sports really like it in this country. Maybe soccer fans but I mean, you go to a church on Sunday, even not in football season, and
nobody there.
There's more people wearing black and gold in some form or another than you're going to see any team. I mean, I remember going to a church in Pittsburgh, and the priest's garments were in Steeler colors, and they had the mass early.
And you better get it early because, you got to go home. We got to go home.
We got to get out of here. We got to watch the game. So give them a lot of credit for that, man. They take it seriously. And
my hats off to Steeler fans everywhere.
Yeah.
Where's Jack Lambert? Where the hell is Jack Lambert?
I think he's still doing Penn State games, isn't he? He was.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think he was. I know we had him on the show a few times. Cookie, my partner there, who, by the way, is retiring this Friday.
Not a moment too soon.
He's leaving the airwaves and the PI. And so happy retirement, Ron. It'll be you know what? It'll be less of a radio station without him on it. People actually love his surly, kind of gruff character. It'll be interesting to see what they do. The guy who works with him, Joe Starkey, is a cream puff of a guy, a really nice guy. And
it's not our Joe Starkey, is it?
No. It's a different Joe Starkey. Hard to believe that there would be two Joe Starkeys, but
there you go.
But he's another guy that's probably enjoying his life on the golf course, right?
Yes.
Joe Starkey.
Although you'd have to be on the golf course every day to enjoy your life out there. You'd have to have something positive to compare it to. as opposed to the last hit you just put in the drink.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you would compare your life after this. I mean, this is a pretty good gig, right?
It's a fabulous gig. Pays wonderfully.
Yeah, I know. We're just all our advertisers and everything. Anyway, all right. So we
Maybe
will
it's because I
do it
mocked
on
them.
Friday. I do on Friday have to either go short or start the show a little earlier. I'd prefer if we start the show a little earlier, to be honest with you. I have a
Okay,
doctor's.
what time do you want to start?
Yeah, so maybe
Okay.
we'll and we want to get in a lot about the Super Bowl. I would think on Friday. So maybe we'll do a
9 o'clock start time or 9:30 or how you call it.
let's see. Well, no, actually, we should start later. My doctor appointment is at 10. So how about if we do a 10? I mean, I can't imagine it's going to last more than 20 minutes. How about if we do a 10:20 start
All right, 10:20 it
on
is.
for our Super Bowl special?
Somebody tell WINS in New York they got to change their dial position for one day.
You know, I actually heard that somebody at WINS told somebody at WINS about us that we do it as a tribute to 1010 Wins. So I said, well, we're available to be on WINS
Where we belong.
anytime. Don't even get me started with that. That's I have the 2008 collapse to thank for that. But
Yeah.
anyway, all right, let's get back together here 10:20 on Friday morning. If the Lord's
It'll be a
willing.
Freaky Friday, I can guarantee you that. Well, the creek damn near rose to a historic level down here.
Almost was afraid to say that, but we'll hopefully. Now, is it going to rain before we go? Is it going to rain again down there? Is there more rain coming
today? And then it looks like it's going to dry out.
We'll be thinking good thoughts. Listen, you'll get nice. What kind of flowers do you get down there? Gardenias?
Poison oak.
Well, you'll have plenty of poison oak. Send trucks full of calamine lotion.
It's going to take an ocean, a calamine lotion. He's sketching like a hound. The minute you start to mess around, poison ivy.
Late at night while you're sleeping, poison ivy comes
creeping around. Lieber and Stoller, man, they hit that one out of the park.
Knees will make you lumpy, make you bumpy. Chicken pox will make you jump and
twitch.
A
common cold will fool you.
Whooping
cough will cool you.
Poison ivy lotus make
you itch.
All right, Mikey. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine, baby. Go Niners.
Go Niners. See you Friday. We're gonna need an ocean.